Ladies and gentlemen, I yet remember, I don't know if you know Principles of Rocketry. There's a book, George P. Sutton, 700 pages. It has all the basics of rocketry. And I happened to have read it. It took me 3.5 years to understand the whole book, and a part of it yet goes over my head, especially the maths. And when you look at our history of our country, when we started, have you ever seen those pictures of how ISRO started? Do you know that the Rohini rocket was also named after a nakshatra Rohini, and the reason being Rohini is the only nakshatra that keeps going up in the constellation and all the nakshatras follow it downwards. That's the reason it was even named Rohini. Very few people know this. And the first rocket, of course, was with assistance of the USA, and then part of it later on we got USSR support, but they actually gave us the impetus. But you know how it was? We took it on a bullock cart and on a cycle. Our first satellite actually went on a bullock cart, if that's not a bullock cart, but I don't think it had any proper vehicle. And I've tried working with propellants and things like this, so I understand the kind of pain and hard work those guys have gone through. Geniuses of their time with no money, a country which had a disillusioned state looking towards science because it was an expenditure and money was hard to come by. And today, you know, a few days ago, or I think when Chandrayaan 1 or 2 didn't work, they actually said, oh, India wants to enter the space club, the elite club with a cow. Did you see that? How many of you saw that meme they created, the cartoon they created? Remember that all our lives. Remember that. Never let that be erased from our minds. Forget everything else, but don't forget that. Because we then showed them their place. They can make movies, and we take half that amount of money and land, and we push ourselves to Mars. So I'm very proud of what we are today. And it gives me immense pleasure. I want all of you to sit up in your seats, perk up your ears, because the conversation that's coming on the stage is, again, as we told you, it's just not going to be AI, technology, and getting, you know, information. We wanted to bring in entertainment, we wanted to bring in eminent speakers, so that when you go away from here, you actually are enriched with a 360-degree view of what's happening around the world. And that's what my next speaker brings to us. Ladies and gentlemen, his topic, if I've understood correctly, I've never had I didn't get time to have a conversation. Do you know that some of our best, how many of you look at the weather? How do we get it? Radar. Does anybody know the full form? No? How many of you know what's radar for? Radio. I'll give you the first clue. No? How many engineers in the house? How many electronic engineers in the house? Let the computer guys have some fun now. How many electrical and electronic engineers in the house? Okay, so coming back from the jokes, so he's going to have a conversation with us. And ladies and gentlemen, our speaker, he's regarded as the father of the RISAT series of radar imaging satellites. He has been instrumental in pushing India towards achieving our own space independence and self-reliance. His expertise have contributed in the realm of synthetic aperture radar, SAR technology, that has been instrumental in the success of the RISAT 1, RISAT 2, and the Chandrayaan 2. His work in developing the Ka-band radio altimeter played a pivotal role in ensuring the smooth and precise landing of Chandrayaan 3. Those of you who don't know, there is a semi-altimeter even within your own mobile phones. Semi, I would not say the full way. His influence extends to the development of satellites like the OceanSat 1 and 2, where he's played a crucial role in the creation of various components. His role as the lead designer of the NASA ISRO dual frequency, that's SAR is again the synthetic aperture radar, the NISAR mission, which is a testament to his global impact and recognition. His service as a senior advisor to the chairman of ISRO, where his wisdom and guidance have been invaluable in shaping the course of India's space endeavor. Ladies and gentlemen, I want all of you on your feet, give him a big round of applause, as I would like to call upon the former Director, Space Application Center, ISRO, the founder of the SISIR Radar, Shri Tapan Misra, on stage.
Let me introduce myself. I was the least educated director of two ISRO centers. In fact, one PhD guy came and told me, how come only a person with a bachelor degree sitting on the chair of Vikram Sarabhai? And I said, that is fate. And in the course of my journey, I was more like a river. I was quite an impromptu person who changed. And what many people told me, you are doing a grave mistake. But again I changed and got into newer and newer things. So that's why I thought I'd change the title. You can go back and change the beginning, but you can start from where you are and then change the ending. And that has been my motto. I studied in two Ramakrishna Mission schools. What is great thing about that, in one school had a 25% orphans, and another school had a 25% blind students. And you have to have one orphan or one blind student as your roommate. And that teaches you that the life when you build a team, everybody need not be excellent. You can still build a team who are deficient in something or some part of life. And I was fortunate to study in the JNU of Kolkata, or JNU is the Jadavpur University of Delhi, because it's a very politically active and intellectually active, and with a bright professors. And what I understood, and if I look back those days, actually the curriculum gives you knowledge, but your personality building comes from human interaction. And the colleges, human interaction, not in labs. Because when you meet in Adda or Chai Ka Dukan, then you don't have a difference and you argue and counter argue. You learn the power of putting your views in a more logical and acceptable fashion. And that is where the personality is built. And you get this learning subsequently. And just since it's a lot of HR professionals gathered, I just let you know that I was for 10 years the question setter of ISRO. And I chaired the recruitment board, and I chaired the whole recruitment processes also for 3 years. And I can take small credit of ISRO success in recent years because we have chosen the right people. Because our choice of people were never on whether they give the right answer, but our choice was based on whether they are going through a right approach. That was the question. In fact, I will tell you that just since I started this, that I have established a radar company with a motto, we will build the better than the best radars in the world. We are not a second grader people, but we will make the better than the best. And it will be coming from India. And our selection of people based on not on graduation degree, but on the grasping power. So I have selected for radar engineer, architecture student, mathematician, physicist, electronics engineer, and even a media specialist, because I found his grasping power was superior than any other thing. And because of my long experience, I can detect whether the person can grasp a very totally unknown things. Because in the days of artificial intelligence, the real intelligence is actually becoming rarer and rarer. And that is where we have to tap nowadays. You know, I was in Kharagpur IIT. I was actually not a very bad student. I had an All India rank of 82 in IIT. I was in Kharagpur IIT, but I thought to becoming a mathematician, so I left it. I came to, then my father said, you will spend your life being a primary school teacher. So he forced me to go to Jadavpur University, and because I stood a joint entrance rank of first, so they get me what branch you want. My father said electronics, so I became electronics engineer. And when I didn't want to join ISRO because it was that time ISRO was not known that much, and it was the lowest paid job of 3 jobs I had. One was Jensen Nicholson to become executive assistant to Arun Nehru. Second was Hindustan Computer Limited, and the lowest salary was a 650 rupees basic of ISRO, engineer SB. And I want to buy tickets for Bangalore. Actually, I was supposed to join the School of Automation after the GATE exam in IISc, but for some reason or another, I bought the ticket of Ahmedabad instead of Bangalore, and I happened to become a space scientist. And that's it. But that time, the ISRO was very snooty, not like today's. ISRO was snooty because there has to be people, top echelon was MIT, Stanford, Caltech. Then lower down, they used to have been IIT students, for that MTech students, mostly PhD or BTech. And non-IIT BTechs were the least. In fact, I was the lonely fellow there. And there was no taker. There was a very 2 prestigious jobs, INSAT and IRS. There was a new budget, the big buildings and everything. And they were starting a small department called hardly any funding, that is for radar remote sensing. And they pushed me there because I was an odd man out, pushed me. And the group was staffed with a lot of odd men, union leaders, people who did not go well with other departments. And it's an education for me. The team which was built with people who did not fit the system, they became the most proliferate innovators of ISRO. And they built today the most complex electronics ever built in India. I think none of it is not IITs, IISc or anybody. It is that teams of leftover people who made it. So we were given a job, Even the Nachiketa has asked his father, Uddala, why are you donating the cows who don't have the teeth? They're already old. So when we went, because this is an odd man out, so we were given a Marconi radar from Indian Navy, which was not working, obviously. Had it been working, they would not have given to us. And they told, you repair it and fly it. And my boss was NS Pillai, and we repaired it, flown it. We are very excited, from flying on a DC-3 at a height of 10,000 feet without any pressurization, and we are getting images of approximately 3 to 5 kilometers and with a resolution of 150 to 250 meters, and come back, and the bosses used to tell, see, what is this? This IRS image gives you 23-meter resolution from 840 kilometer height. Look at it, what is the difference? You cannot, this will not go. So then we are the 5th country in the world to build synthetic aperture radar. And to be precise, in India till today, in my 30 years of career, 37 plus career, nobody else could build a synthetic aperture radar in India. It is supposed to be one of the topmost radar. In fact, if you know synthetic aperture radar, all other radars are subsets. And it's a heavy computation intensive. It needs a signal processing and all. We built airborne radars, and we are actually the 5th people in the country. We are flying in Beechcraft. And most interesting, the first radar we built, actually that's data processing used to be done by some other set of people. And the motion compensation was not correct. And for some reason or another, hardly 1/10 of the data used to be good one. In fact, while collecting data, we have to pray. Today the data should come good. And I was hawking RISAT to the top management. And top management like a chairman, Rangan and all, and they are always surrounded with advisors with a pins in their hand. They will prick anybody who comes very near, comes with new ideas. So there these fellows are pricking, the big man people, that they see these fellows could not process a good airborne radar images and they want to go for a spaceborne, sir. And it was my existential dilemma. In fact, finally I actually, we were not, because we were supposed to be hardware guys, nut, bolt and all those things, instrument, but not computers, we are not worth the computers. So we had no facilities. And I talked to the CMC general manager in Ahmedabad, Apte Saab. I said, he just brought for demonstration some 8 CPU Xeon machine. I requested him to donate me for a month. Then after a month he came to ask for it. I told him the Kishore Kumar story. Somebody asked payment from Kishore Kumar. Kishore Kumar went to the bathroom, brought out a test tube, the toothpaste tube, and pressed it to take out all the test paste. Then he asked that fellow, please put it back in the toothpaste. I said, our situation is like that. You gave it to us. I cannot give it to you till my job is. But we developed a new set of motion compensation algorithm. It is one of the, what I realized that everybody uses, this pod stabilization system, but we said, why to make complicated? We did the other way around. Mathematically, the flight track made it orthogonal to that antenna direction, and we made it, and you can look at the superb images. And I remember that when I went for Rangan to show him, and he was holding a 23 crore budget for the initial phase 1 development cost of RISAT. The moment he saw the images, he threw that file and asked S.K. Das, our additional secretary, I have signed, get it cleared. That is how the ISRO used to function those days. And another interesting thing, we are our first, before radar, we were asked to make radiometer, a cheaper one. And while making radiometer, that radiometer has to be tested with a black body object. And you will be surprised, from J.C. Bose's day till 1998, not a single lab in India built a microwave black body radiator. And to our surprise, in fact, we were supposed to buy from UK Met. It is 8.5 crores, and imagine the radiometer project was costing 7.5 crores. It went to Dr. George Joseph, who was the director. He called me. I was a mostly software and microwave guy. He put that file in the dustbin and said, you build it. And it's surprising. And later on I learned how to build it, get it productionized, and it was so heavy. And we built India's first black body operating in microwave, and it is a cryogenic. It was operating up to 78 degree Kelvin, up to the boiling point of nitrogen. There is even in ISRO, and it is actually in India. Anything, Americans had not done, then Indians cannot do. That is the general philosophy. We go to buy armament, we can blame DRDO for many things, but say your equipment is not as good as IAI, or this is not as good as Rafale, it is not as good as this one, and it is everywhere. Everywhere, and that was an ISRO also. Somehow that was an idea. If NASA, ESA has done, then we have a confidence to redo it. And what 99 I proposed, we will build a radar, synthetic aperture radar, will be the better than the best, and it will be built by brown people. That is the last line I wrote. In fact, Dr. Kasturi Rangan got very icked on it, on a 3-page note, that it will be built by brown people. And we kept it, we made it the synthetic, and we did a huge amount of, you will be surprised that it has electronics of approximately 1400 subsystems on a 6 by 2 meter antenna. There was a 6,000 connectors, 3,000 RF connectors, 6,000 digital connectors. There is a 30 kilometer of cabling, RF cabling, and that was made, and it worked flawlessly, and its 90% components were commercial and made in India, and in a facilities which were rejected by everybody, including DRDO. What we brought first time that a polarimetry in a C-band, it is a first, we changed this polarimetry itself to hybrid polarimetry. It is a new concept which was introduced, and we also built a synthetic aperture radar first time in C-band giving better than 1 meter resolution. In fact, I am happy to inform this one of our surgical strike, this radar was used for that operation. And not only that, we built it, the 10 kilometer by 100 kilometer spotlight SAR, where the global next best SAR was from the Israelis, which we bought from them, that had only 5 by 5 kilometer. You can see it is only 1/10 of that image you can see on this comparison there. And, okay. No, I don't know. And you can see the type of images it has come. And they say PMs don't meet that actual person who is working, who made it. But at that time, our PM Manmohan Singh asked me to meet him. And to my surprise, compared to all the, I was stunned by his intelligence and his knowledge and his the wide spectrum. I was surprised why we are not seeing that personality in public spaces. And he had a phenomenal memory, it has still aged with me, and his knowledge and his grasping ability. And we built also that this next stage of reconnaissance satellites of RISAT-2B series. We have built a 2R in the operation, and they are helping our security friends in a much better way today. They don't have to depend on other countries. And since I cannot show data from India, so I have showed it from Malaysia. You can see the intricate details, though it is put down in a very coarser resolution, but you can see the intricate details. And that's we built the Chandrayaan 2. It's a very interesting story, because in Chandrayaan 1, I wanted to make a synthetic aperture radar. In fact, I bid for it on part of our team, and we could not get, because everybody said it has to be a foreign collaboration, and so be it. So it had happened. In Chandrayaan 2, automatically it would have gone to that heritage to be, the space people maintain heritage. So that heritage to be maintained, and the UR Rao was the committee chairman. I was determined to get it. And the NASA proposal was in L band, and we went, to ward me off. They had one radar was weighing 11.5 kg. So you are now asked me, you make it two polarized, two frequency. I said yes, L and S. Okay. Then he said it should be fully polarized. I said the hardware will end up in 4 times. He said yes, you have to make it 4 times. Then he after thought, he said, you make it in 15 kg. I also said yes. And he had no other way to go. He agreed for this. And I came back, I was almost lynched by my colleagues, 2 synthetic apertures for Chandrayaan mission. We built it. And the last radar we built at a 950 kg mass and a 16.5 kg. And surprise of surprise, our colleagues, my colleagues, they rose to the occasion, built one of the most miniature synthetic aperture radar, and it is still operating. You can go to ISRO sites, how beautifully it has found out the craters, the water inside, and all of those things. But what interesting thing happened, that NASA, at no time NASA chief visited India, ISRO. The reason is, if you go, they will always say, we are 50 years ahead of you. Let us be very frank, let us not. And, I was in the State Department in Washington, D.C., in one of the strategic dialogue meeting, and Charles Bolden, the NASA chief, he took me aside, told them, Tapan, did you build that synthetic aperture radar that cost? Actually, we built it less than 200 crores. Whether the international cost was 2,000 crores plus. And I said, yes. Then he said, I'll visit. And he, after 3 months, he came, visited that lab, and walked up and down the clean room for 1 hour. And he wanted to understand what makes our people to build such a classic radar at such a cheap cost. And I will be surprised that all the radar set follow-on mission, we call the radar set continuity mission, is deceptively similar to RISAT, and today its features are copied in other synthetic aperture radar. In fact, I was the person who was invited to configure Canada's RCM mission. And the follow-up was that fallout was there. There is an advanced L and S band radar which is coming in. NISR, NASA, ISRO SAR, which will be flying next year. And that's the most important thing. It will give information of every 8 days, whole solid mass over the globe, that any height variation of 2 millimeter will be detected. And presently, as I told, I am on a mission to build a 32 satellite constellation of L and P band synthetic aperture radar. And what we'll build is one of the topmost technology, which will be nobody is having at a 1 meter resolution in L band, and it will penetrate through the ground, and it will penetrate through the foliage and all. And we have already made a drone-based synthetic aperture radar. And you can see the type of images it has. And we have also got the IDEX challenge. Recently, the Prime Minister's challenge we won. And it's a very prestigious win to support Indian Air Force. And we'll be providing the imaging services which will give you not only see the surface through the foliage, it will see below the ground up to a 10-meter depth, it will see that. And also we are making a very, very sophisticated, it is nowhere there in the world. There's a very sophisticated GPR which we tested in mines where every piece of metal we could detect. We have a new concept. We are upgrading it to drone-borne one, which will be for military application, for mining and all applications, and will give you resolutions of less than a meter with a depth up to 80 meters. And we started operation hardly one year and 3 months, because after the COVID only we could start. We recruited people hardly for 1 year. And today we have come to this. And one good thing, it's a very deep tech. No VCs were ready to fund. If you say you are going to make better than the best, nobody believes. ऐसा हो नहीं सकता है. हमारा पैसा पानी पे जाएगा. But then, there are much wiser classmates, my school classmates, who are wiser than me, so they made good amount of money. So they have invested, and that is how this company has come up. My observation is that ISRO, China and India, the per capita GDP was almost same. And only Deng Xiaoping started in 1984, and you see that after 10 years, their growth rate started increasing, and we started in 1994, and also another 10 years, we also started going up. But what happened is subsequently, China's growth rate went very steep ahead, and India's has not picked up. We may all talk a lot of things, global things. My understanding is that China did not do one wise thing. They did not invest in software. And we went to build software, capture the software market, and because it's a high-paying salary, and it just sucked away talents for all branches, all metallurgists, chemical engineers, civil engineers, electronic engineers. You tell a physicist, mathematics, everybody wanted to become software. And not that, with all due, it has generated a huge amount of employment, high quality employment. I have no doubt about it. And it has built the digital economy. Though many of this digital economy, significant part is made by the government software companies who pay the low salary. But it killed the core engineering and stifled the deep tech engineering, the price we are paying. What you seeing today, the government's approach, the correction of this process, and by 2025, we'll have a new economic order. That is what is expected. Corona, Ukraine war, Israel war, and all this is a process towards denormalization of the present geopolitical and geoeconomic scenario, and that is where sees the government's effort in Atmanirbhar and all. You will be surprised that China also started the similar program. Exactly what the programs we are doing. So this is all you will see. And another one, what is the difference with ISRO, my experience, is our family, education, working, everywhere, we started, insisting on, independent thought, independent working, independent mindset. But what ISRO has mastered, they have valued interdependence, and which is a key to teamwork with a flawless precision. And this interdependence we have not taught in our industry. It is everywhere, it is a मैं अकेला ही राजा बाकी सब खाजा ऐसा ही है. But that we can work together, we can have a different intellectual level can work together, different financial levels can work together. That has not been established there, and that is what made the big difference in success of ISRO. And we do not see such matching success even in the government funded or in the private sector. One of the most important things what ISRO has mastered, if you say the whole cosmos is governed by the second law of thermodynamics, even the life has come from the second law of thermodynamics. And I feel that any institution is also governed by the second law of thermodynamics. The most efficient institutions will have the least noise, least entropy, so they have the least information. So the most efficient organizations will not generate new ideas because they have the least entropy and least information. And the most inefficient systems, like this IITs or IISs, they generate a lot of entropy, but that they are not converted to a proper informational product. But ISRO has mastered at different level to grab what is the new knowledge is created and converted to the product. So just to see, let's say, we have started launching rockets of such a poorer level, and from that we have went into all the branches of space technology, and that is possible because ISRO has put managerial levels at different levels to spot new type of knowledge created, new type of skill created, and that how to convert into new product. It is the most efficient Carnot cycle of thermodynamics we have established. And another thing, if I put up this photograph, everybody knows it's Diwar ka. Mera paas maa hai, that story. But you will not know this person. He is actually Dr. S. Srinivasan, who is the father of today our cryo engine. And he has done a seminal work, and he died very untimely death. Lot of issues were suspected, but then we do not know. The country which doesn't respect its knowledge, its people with knowledge cannot go. You see the difference in why everybody asks why we were delayed from US 50 years, because our psychological and social priorities were different. And that, another most important thing, if you see the ISRO, has hardly today's date, our catchment area is the small colleges, very far away places. The students are coming. And mostly it's the government engineering colleges, NITs, IISER, or private engineering colleges. And surprisingly, we're performing much better than that. It doesn't mean that IITs are not contributing. It only means, it gives me satisfaction that our technology knowledge route has actually gone deeper, which we are not respecting and which we are not properly harnessing. That is my understanding. Oh, this is a Bengali poetry from Neeraj Chakravarti. And it says, have you stumbled on your way? Get up. When you stumble, you are noticed by a few. If you stand up again, you will be noticed by the whole world. So we should not get bogged down by the failure. Failure you will have a very bad name sometimes. But if you rise from like a phoenix from a failure, and you will be respected very widely. This is many of the companies today. I see the startups from small failure, they throw out the things. And okay, so I stop here. And thank you for your kind attention.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.